Hey guys, welcome to another Moveset Guide and Analysis video. Today we're going to be looking at Mega-Alakazam. Now you may be going, the fuck Flugmeister? You already did Alakazam. What the fuck is your problem? And I'll just simply say, I want to redo this series. It's been so long, the meta has changed quite a bit, and I really feel like I can offer a lot of more insight now since I've been playing it a little bit more. Playing Pokemon OU a little bit more, and really, I really just want to redo it because I feel like I've committed a sin, and that is just really being stupid in a lot of my sets and everything like that. So let's get to it. The two sets are the same. I will kind of talk about a third set as well. But with the 3 attacks plus taunt, it's the exact same thing as is in my PowerPoint. It does what you need it to do. It's a Pokemon that really puts in work. You were looking at a Pokemon that, and I'm just gonna make sure it's actually recording this right now. Okay, cool. Sorry, there was a failed recording before this where it was only recording OBS and not this. As I was saying, 3 attacks taunt is really, really nice. I personally think it's one of the best ways to check setup. One of the best ways to check Pokemon like Ferrothorn that are setting up entry hazards. Checking stuff like defoggers as well, like Skarmory. Because then what do? Well, you're forcing them to attack you or switch out. The choice is up to them. I personally like the idea behind taunt. It is my personal favorite way to prevent your opponent from really doing anything for the time being, and then allowing you to get off a bunch of damage with like a Focus Blast, Shadow Ball, or even in the other options, going for Hidden Power Fire, Dazzling Gleam, or even Energy Ball on top of that. Now, with this being said, do you have to run taunt? No, you don't. Like, if you have a defogger or a rapid spinner, you don't necessarily need to prevent it, but taunt does potentially force the switch, which I think is very important, especially in a meta where, just as an example, Toxapex does so much, especially with its regenerator. It no longer really needs the shed shell, but it can carry it mainly to get out of Magma Storm trapping by Heatran, and especially when you're running a set like Scald, Toxic, or Toxic Spikes. I personally would prefer Toxic, mainly because if your opponent has something like a Toxapex, well, goodbye to your Toxic Spikes. Like Haze and Recover, you're running into a lot of problems overall, because is it max? Oh yeah, it is max. It's 64, right? So like, it really depends on you as a player. Like, do you want something that can taunt this Toxapex, prevent it from setting up even Toxic Spikes, hazing or recovering, and forcing it to switch out, like after it's possibly taking a massive hit? That's really up to you. But other options, then you've got Substitute for like a status move. This is really great to prevent something like Sucker Punch, and we're gonna look strictly at OU right now, from, you betcha, Mega Mawile. This is great for preventing Sucker Punch from Bisharp as well. Even if we're looking at other priority, it's not preventing this priority, but it's forcing your opponent to go for it. So as an example, strictly from OU, Mega Scizor and Medicham, right? You're making it so they are having to hit you first, or take the hit, then go for the priority attack. So just keeping that in mind. And then you've also got the likes of Calm Mind. Calm Mind, I wouldn't necessarily say he's great on a 3-attack set, mainly because, again, if your opponent has that priority heavy squadron, then you're never really going to get off a strong hit. Calm Mind could be cool if you are looking for Alakazam to be like a late game sweeper. I personally like to use Mega-Alakazam as more of an early game an early game attacker, mostly to weaken things like Landorus, to weaken things like, again, Toxapex, forcing it to switch out because of taunt, attacking things like Celesteela potentially. It's really up to you, but I like what Alakazam does in the early game compared to what Alakazam would do, which is just be a nice late game cleaner. Sub Calm Mind does what it does. It's Sub Calm Mind. Focus Blast, Psychic, 2 best moves for coverage, substitute, get away from Sucker Punch, and then going for the Focus Blast against Bisharp, Mawile. The list just continues to grow. I just think that this is a set that, again, if you're looking for it to be late game, it can work. I don't necessarily think it's the best set, though, especially when you don't have a good form of recovery, since you need Focus Blast, otherwise you're walled by Bisharp. You need Psychic, otherwise you're walled by Toxapex. So really, it's up to you. Let's move on to other options. Hidden Power Fire, I definitely think should fit on the 3-attack set. Now again, I'm gonna hope this works. It worked! Beautiful. As you can see, this is Hidden Power Fire to Mega Scizor. This gets destroyed after rocks. Bullet Punch as well, really, really nice. It's a 2-hit KO, but you're also getting a shitload of damage off on it with a Hidden Power Fire. Feral Thorn, looking at it in this is its standard, quote-unquote, set. This is a Hidden Power Fire. It's doing very little. Mind you, Knockoff and Power Whip. If Power Whip hits, it's doing a lot of damage. Won't KO after rocks, though. And even Knockoff is doing a lot of damage. But if we move it to another spread that is really, really good, because it prevents, if I remember, Ashgren's 2-hit KO with Dark Pulse. This is how much Hidden Power Fire does. Keep this in mind, this is how much Focus Blast does. If you feel like your team is extremely weak to Mega Scizor, use Hidden Power Fire. 100%. If you can't fit a Heatran on your team, Hidden Power Fire. All the way. I would personally much rather be hitting... Did this work? Okay. I'm gonna be very paranoid about that, by the way. I would much rather have a way to hit all steals, right? Again, if we're looking strictly at OU, Hidden Power Fire is hitting everything except Heatran. That's just something like if we look at Bisharp even. Okay, Focus Blast does a lot, but a Hidden Power Fire does quite a bit as well. Even the example of Mawile, Mega Mawile, which runs quite a bit of speed. Hidden Power Fire is doing just a bit more than a Focus Blast. Keep all of this in mind, even if we're looking at Celesteela and its defensive spread, like looking at max HP 124 to death, they're very even. Sorry about that little pop up there. They're very even in power, and it's just something that you have to take into account. Do you want Focus Blast to miss, or do you want Hidden Power Fire? That is the biggest, in my opinion, jump to be making. Because again, even just continuing through Excadrill, looking at it sashed, yeah, Focus Blast would KO. But Hidden Power Fire is much more consistent, right? Even if I can just remember one more as the example, Skarmory, if it's Fizz Def, doing the same amount. Neutral wise, if you want an attack like this that's gonna hit stuff like Bishop always, it's always gonna do more against stuff like Excadrill, fine. Focus Blast is your move. Hidden Power Fire, though, is going to do the most consistent damage, and that's something I didn't talk about in my PowerPoint. It's really dependent on you as the player. Even if we're looking at like Spadef Skarm, that's not a 2-hit KO. That's barely a 2-hit KO. Let's just get that straight, right? So it's super dependent on what you need. Like Magnezone, if it's Assault Vest, is taking very little from it. But again, if I could spell, if we're looking at Assault Vest wise, yeah, it's doing less than half, and Focus Blast is doing more, but if you miss, you get screwed. So I would personally lean more towards Focus Blast, based on the fact that I know it's going to do around the same amount. But I also know that if you're looking at Hidden Power Fire, not only does it have more PP, but it does also have the most consistent of damage. Again, you're not picking up a lot of KOs overall, and just looking at this in general, like we can look at something like, say, Kingdra, OU Specs. This is a Psychic that's not doing very much, right? You need a lot of prior damage. Like you need rocks plus like 3 layers of spikes to guarantee the KO, and that's not a good thing to rely on, especially since Rain Boosted, you die. So you have to keep all of that in mind. Even if we're looking at Swampert as another really, really solid example, this thing's bulky as fuck. This is how much a Psychic does. Adding in Psychic Terrain, a little bit more. Looking back at Kingdra, Psychic Terrain, considerable amount more. But that's the thing. If we wanted to talk about partners and everything like that, Tapu Lele. 100% Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele is really, really good. I think that it's a mon that you really need to consider. One, it's a Pokemon that sets up the terrain, mostly because nothing is touching this. Nothing is touching this with priority, which is really, really solid. 2, you've got something like a Specs Moonblast. You've got Specs Psychic or Psyshock of your own. You have Shadow Ball as well. You have Hidden Power Fire as well. Basically the same as Megazam, but in a lot of ways better. I know personally, like if you really feel like you're weak to Mega Sableye, or you're just weak to Stall in general, like looking at just say Tapu Lele, if we're looking at Specs versus Sableye, this is what they have for the calc. Max Def, Moonblast will always KO, does not matter. So keep this all in mind. I think that it's really important to consider Tapu Lele because it helps Megazam do a lot more damage, and it doesn't always necessarily require you to carry hazards or require hazards late in the game. Celesteal is another good one. You're taking all those Spadef hits if we're even just looking at it from a Specs Tapu Lele point of view. If we're looking at it defensive wise, it still takes Psychics, Spec Psychics, and Psychic Terrain from Tapu Lele. Even if we change it to Modest, it's still taking them. Right? Hidden Power Fire, it's still taking it, and it's close to not even a 2-hit KO. We're factoring in Timid, not a 2-hit KO off your leftovers. Keeping all of this in mind, it's a really good partner. Even if we were looking at potential like rock setters and everything, I would personally say Excadrill, mostly because when you have Volt Breaker, you pair you put a Choice Scarf on it. Like even if you're looking at just like Stealth Rock, Toxic, or whatever, to wear down a Sableye late in the game. Perfect way to do it. Even if you wanted to say go Sash and everything and just wheel stuff down, it can surprise you at just how much it can actually do. Even more, just continuing through, another Pokemon that can come in and do a lot of damage for a set like this is Ash Greninja. 100% Ash Greninja. Why? When you've got a Pokemon that is choice specs, you got a Pokemon that's firing off stuff like Hyper Pump. You got a Pokemon that's firing off... fuck. Sorry, guys. I don't know why this is happening. Scald. Sorry, not Scald. Water Shuriken. Dank Pulse. And a Pokemon that can set up spikes. It's so good. Right? Your Water Shuriken, those Pokemon that are weakened. You're getting a boot. You're going into your Ash form. You're getting these ridiculous stats. I guarantee, ladies and gents, Ash Greninja is going to be banned in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. This Pokemon puts in work. If and when Ash Gren gets banned, a Pokemon that I think you could easily run alongside it is Kartana. Kartana again just puts in a lot of work. Scarfed as well. It's a great defogger, especially late in the game. You got again moves like Leaf Blade. You have Smart Strike if you feel like, what the hell happened there? Smart Strike, Sacred Sword. You even have Darkinium Z Night Slash if you feel like you're super weak to Mew, which can help you out. You have, again, like Fightinium Z plus Sacred Sword that really helps as well. And last up, I think, is just a partner that you definitely want to pair it with. Like, to me personally, a Pokemon that you really want to pair it with, in my opinion, is the likes of, here he is Mew. I think Mew works really well. Was it 290 speed? You got Fast Mew. Sorry. You got Fast Mew. You got Fast Mew to do a lot of your dirty work. Timid Mew in that 290 range. Rest into defense. It's great because you got Ice Beam to beat Zygarde and Landorus. You got Will-O-Wisp to beat Zygarde and Landorus. You've even got Roost as well as Stealth Rock, or potentially Defog if you felt like you really needed it. That even knockoff. Even Landorus T is really nice in this regard. Though you may want to run offensive Landorus here. Why? Offensive Landorus is going to help you deal with a bunch of stuff. It's helping you, especially Supersonic Sky Strike, so with the Flying EMZ. Why? You're dealing with a lot of the checks that you have, one of which is AV Tangrowth. Just, if I can get Alakazam back up there real quick. But just to finish off with some checks and counters here, like Assault Vest Tangrowth, like this is a Psychic. Even in Psychic terrain, it's just doing over half. But the more this thing's able to switch in and out, the more it's able to knock off, go for Giga Drains and everything, it's gonna do a lot of damage. And this isn't even max Spadef either. It's so tough for it. Again, I can bring up Celesteela. Enough said. Even just going down the list here, again, Bisharp, if you don't have a way of preventing its Sucker Punch from hitting you. Clefable's a huge pain in the dick. Yeah, it's like it's Psychic and Psychic terrain, but outside of it, Moonblast is going to do a lot. And if they get the hacks and lower your special attack, this ain't a 2-hit KO, my friend. That ain't a 2-hit KO. Again, going down the line, Ferrothorn can be an issue if you're missing Focus Blasts. Scarf Gengar is an issue. Ash Greninja itself, because Ash Greninja's 3 hits with Water Shuriken will always do a lot of damage, especially when this thing gets weakened. So there's a lot to keep in mind here. Hawlucha late in the game. Now, if I remember, there was a funny story that I wanted to quick tell you guys about. Yeah, I lived a +2 acrobatics from it. So this is where even just like a quick thing to keep in mind, you could say it's 212, 44. You could put in a little extra defense here, right? It's like putting in that extra defense could help. Up to you. Like if we just go back here to here. 28? 32, okay. Putting these extra EVs into defense can help 100%. Like, it may weaken your damage output a little bit. But again, even looking at Zygarde Choice Banded, even though Zygarde Choice Bands usage has gone down, Extreme Speed's doing a little bit less. Scissor's Bullet Punch, I can't believe I almost just did that. Scissor's Bullet Punch doing a little bit less. Like Himpar Fire's doing a little bit less, but it'll always KO off your Stealth Rock. So again, it's really up to you. I still stand behind like a lot of these things. Mimikyu's a threat. Mew is a threat. Mawile is a threat. Like, there are so many threats to Megazam, which is why it is not as used as I think it really should be. But with that being said, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this. I will have more videos like this out in the future. I'm hoping to post this the day I'm making it, which is time and date 3:27 p.m. November 11th, 2017. So I'm hoping to have that out today. I just gotta do a little bit of editing and stuff for you guys. Just in the future, I'm just gonna keep going down OU. I'm just gonna keep going down. I'm gonna keep going and going and going and going and going and going until at the bottom. Okay? And then look at UU. I see what Pokemon I think could be used in the OU tier there. So with that really being said, guys, hope you enjoyed this first video back again, once again. If you did, leave a like, guys. As well, leave some comments down below as to what sets you like to use with Mega-Alakazam. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of them. After, say, the first 5 videos, if I see any cool sets that I want to bring up, I absolutely will. So that's going down to Megazard X. So leave your set suggestions down below, and I'll definitely try and make a video about them all. So guys, again, hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.
최고!